Right, so good day everyone. My name is Uncle Varun and welcome to Storytime once again. Okay, so today the name of my story is Anansi and the Turtle. Alright, now the author of this story is a Ghanaian folktale and our illustrator is Mr. Rehan Dejon. Anansi the spider is a very smart spider. He's a trickster, right? So he's a smart man in all of his stories, right? So let's go. One day Anansi the spider picked some yams from his garden. They were extra beautiful, delicious yams. So he baked them carefully in the fire. Then he sat down to eat them up. Just as Anansi was to put the first bite in his mouth, he heard a knock on the door. Oh no, thought Anansi, who can that be? But he opened the door. There was Turtle, who looked very tired. Turtle said, Anansi, please let me in. I've walked so far today, and I'm so tired and hungry. So what could Anansi do but to let him in? Anansi was too selfish to share his beautiful, delicious yams with anybody. So he came up with a nasty plan not to share his yams with Turtle. Just as Turtle sat down at the table, began to reach for some yams, Anansi yelled at him, Hey! Turtle, your hands are all dirty. You can't eat with your hands dirty like that. Go and wash them. Turtle's hands were really dirty, so he slowly crawled to the river and washed his hands and then crawled back. But meanwhile Anansi started gobbling down the yams. By the time Turtle got back, he saw the yams were all gone. Turtle looked at Anansi. Thank you for inviting me for the dinner. If you're ever near my house, please come by and let me return the favor for you, Anansi, said Turtle. And Turtle began crawling slowly away to his house. As time went by, Anansi began to think more and more about how Turtle had promised to feed him for a free dinner. But Anansi had outsmarted Turtle by his house. He didn't want to give him any yams. Anansi got to Turtle's house just as about dinner time, as the sun was going down over the river. Turtle was lying on a rock in the sun, warming up himself, as turtles do. When Turtle saw Anansi, he said, Hey, Anansi, hello? Anansi, you've come to have dinner with me? And Anansi said, Yes, that would be very nice, thank you. He was getting hungrier and hungrier. So Turtle dived down to the bottom of the river and set the table for dinner and get everything ready. Anansi was waiting by the rocks by the shore. Soon Turtle swam back up and said, Oh, Anansi, it is all ready now. Please join me for dinner. And Turtle dived down again and began to eat the green leaves he had for dinner. Anansi tried to dive down to the bottom of the river, but he was a spider, not a turtle, and he could not dive that deep. He kept floating back up to the surface again. He tried to jump in, he tried diving in, but nothing helped. He just couldn't get down to the bottom to have that dinner. Finally, Anansi had an idea. He put a lot of stones in his pockets of his coats, and finally, he was heavy enough to sink down to the bottom of the river. Ha ha! How clever he was! He saw Turtle's table full of juicy green leaves and lots of other delicious food. Anansi's mouth watering. But just as Anansi was reaching for some of the delicious food, Turtle said, Anansi, surely you're not going to eat with that on, that coat. That's not how we do things at my house. Anansi was thinking, oh, of course, you're right. Turtle was I thinking. He took off his coat, but without the rocks in his pocket to hold him down, Anansi floated right back up to the surface of the river again and popped out of the water. Anansi sadly put his head down into the river and watched Turtle eat up all his delicious foods. Okay, so the turtle outsmarted Anansi as well, right? So the moral of this story is, never try to outsmart someone. You may find that yourself are the one to be outsmarted, right? So never be too smart, you could outsmart yourself, right? So, crick crack, monkey break your back for a piece of pomerack. Okay? So that's the end of today's story time, right? So visit the Sangagani Public Library Facebook page for more details.